So when do we shut down and when do we exit? First of all, it's useful to look at this graph here of average total costs, average variable costs. These are the typical U-shaped average cost curves that we've thought about earlier in the course. If the price exceeds P1, the firm is earning profits. The firm's making money, should stay open and continue to earn those profits. At a price where, if the price is equal to P1, again, the firm produces where price equals marginal cost and earns zero profits. This is zero economic profits, not zero accounting profits. But the firm will earn zero economic profits. At a price between P1 and P2, firms again produce where price equals marginal cost. But here they're losing money. The price is not as high as average total cost, so they're not earning money. They're earning losses. But, and this is important, they're going to lose less than their total fixed costs. They're going to be better off producing even if they can't cover all of their fixed costs because they can cover all of their variable costs plus a little something. So their profits will be smaller than their loss would be if they shut down. Now, if price falls all the way down to P2, this firm will want to shut down. The firm will choose to produce zero in the short run and will shut down and will have losses equal to their total fixed costs. So if price exceeds average variable cost, as it does between P1 and P2, then it should stay in business, even if its profits then are negative. So once we take this into consideration, we can redraw the short-run supply curve. The short-run supply curve, we argued earlier, is equal to the firm's marginal cost curve, but we need to now add this condition about shutdown. The firm will shut down at a price lower than P2, so the firm's supply curve then is represented by the bolded red line, where firm supply begins when price equals P2, and then once we get up there, the firm produces up along the marginal cost curve. So we produce along the marginal cost curve as soon as the price is greater than the minimum average variable cost. This brings up a very important concept to think about in economics, and that's the concept of sunk costs. A sunk cost is one that you can't get back, and these things are irrelevant for decision making. So fixed costs in the short run, why don't they matter? They don't matter because you can't do anything about them. You have to pay your fixed costs regardless of how much you produce or how much you don't produce in the short run. So once you have sunk costs, they don't affect your decision making at all, and they shouldn't affect your decision making at all. The only things that should affect your decision making are the things you can control, the marginal costs, the variable costs. So fixed costs, remember, are sunk in the short run. We can't do anything about them. They don't matter then in the decision to shut down. All we do is compare our revenues with our variable costs in the short run. Now, over the long run, fixed costs become variable costs. They don't usually disappear. We still usually have to pay our rent, even if we had to renew our lease. When our lease comes up, we may be able to move or change our office or change the size and the amount of square feet we're renting, but we probably still need to rent office space. So it's usually a mistake to think that fixed costs disappear, but fixed costs over the long run become variable. When we think about profits in the long run, now we've got total revenue minus total costs, and if we rearrange this in similar fashion than we did with our short run costs, what we want to do is compare price with average total costs. And we exit if total revenue is less than total cost in the long run, or equivalently, if the price of the good is less than the per unit cost of production. So if we can produce a unit for less than we can sell it for, less than or equal to what we can sell it for, we should produce it. We should stay in business. But if our price falls below the average cost of production, then we should exit the industry. Graphically, here's what we're looking at. Firms are also considering entering the market, and so when should we decide to enter or exit? If the price exceeds P0 in the picture, we can see that profits will be positive and firms will be entering. If price is less than P0, then firms will be exiting. And in equilibrium, where there's no pressure for new firms to enter or existing firms to exit, where price equals P0, this is going to represent long-run equilibrium. It's useful to be able to think about the profit of these firms graphically, and we can represent profits graphically when we recall that we can measure profits by looking at price minus average total cost times the quantity produced, and examine this box on our graph. So at a price equal to P1, the firm will find where marginal revenue equals marginal cost and produce quantity equal to Q1. And we see there graphically that price exceeds average total cost by the distance P1 minus ATC1. So the height of this rectangle is P1 minus ATC1. This is the term in parentheses. The width of the rectangle is Q. So the area of the rectangle represents profits. The height times the width represents profit. We can also think about visualizing a firm's losses. In this case, the price is below the break-even price. P2 is less than the break-even price of P0. If the price is equal to P2, then firms will choose to produce Q2. Firms will produce along their marginal cost curve if they decide to produce at all. And they will earn losses equal to the difference of average total cost associated with that quantity minus the price associated with that quantity. That's the amount they're losing on each unit, times Q2, which is the amount that they're producing. So the height of this is a negative, and which reflects the fact that on each unit they lose money. And the width of this is Q2. So the rectangle, the area of the rectangle, height times width, represents the loss of a firm in a perfectly competitive market.